or good evening, and you're in the USA. If you're in overseas, or if you're in bed in Europe, then hope you're sleeping good. But overseas would be Wonderful Wednesday, and I am Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt, or Mr. Simpler, Faster, Better, and I have the Smile Factory in the house, Mr. Michael Ray, the Year of Love. Hey, Michael, how are you, brother?
What's up, Bruce? How you doing? I wore my blue for you, my
Yeah.
friend. We're embracing the blue tonight, which is hard to do in this part of the world because living in Louisville, we say it Louisville, not Louis, which
That's right.
is named after King Louis. But we
Mhm.
embraced red here locally. But just for you tonight, I put on the blue.
Oh, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Actually, in the lead up today, I saw some of the commentary real quick before I hopped on live, and somebody was saying, how can you have the blues with these two guys? And it's like, what a setup, like, how do you, how do you compete with that being set up in such a high acclaim, right? But I appreciate the blue. We kind of match, two old guys in blue, right?
We're making it look sexy, baby, right?
Oh,
Huh?
all right.
I
Long
always
time
say
since I
blue
beat
goes
you up.
well with my eyes because I have kind of like a bluish green eye. So
Yeah, me too.
probably
Look at that.
you do.
All
See,
right. Look at
you got
them
good looking
suckers.
eyes. Never age too. So good looking eyes.
All right. Well, they do age. I was at the ophthalmologist earlier, and doing that
Well,
routine is always not so good. You know how that is, brother.
yes.
Oh, all right. Well, you've been on the road a lot, and I know you recently came to California. So I'm always intrigued in terms of, I love to do lessons learned, especially with somebody who's well traveled like yourself. So what are some standout moments for you, Michael, in this journey that you've been on this year? Obviously, you call it the year of love, and loving and appreciating people is super helpful. So yeah, so what are some of the key lessons learned since you've been on your travels this year so far, Michael?
Well, and I guess when I went into 2021, why I called it love was, I guess, for a multitude of reasons. Coming, in the middle of a pandemic and trying to get
Yeah.
on the other side. We all needed to have a little bit more love. But I often have thought and said, sharing a smile with a human being is a nonverbal small gesture of love. You don't even have to
Yeah.
open your mouth, say hello, say anything to a stranger, but there's something about connecting with a stranger and the simplicity of a smile. It's
Yep.
warm, it's welcoming. So, when I came into this year and really wanting to be more passionate about that, not that everything that I really haven't done from the inception of what I've done as far as bringing smiles to people, but
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to take it on the road. And that
Right.
was because of so many beautiful people that I have built relationships with. And I went to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
up and down the coast. So when I say up and down
Yeah.
the coast, I mean I literally went from Key West up to Jacksonville, back down the other side, drove 1,000 miles in the state of Florida, met with I think over 30 people
Mm-hmm.
in the state of Florida, to where, again, I often say when we do it, we bring love, smiles, and kindness to strangers in these simple moments.
Right.
Um, and again, did the same thing in California. Didn't go as far north, went from San Diego up to Bakersfield,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really an amazing diverse cross section of humanity.
Yeah.
Whether you work in a mall, making 10, 12 bucks an hour and you're cleaning floors and you feel like maybe your life has no value and meaning, to somebody who's battling cancer, to somebody who's living on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
The number of strangers that I've encountered on this journey is truly what brings me such great joy and happiness. And the vehicle in which I've done it through are all of these beautiful relationships that I have built on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
with people like yourself who have followed me on my journey, that maybe in some form or fashion I've inspired and impacted their life by what they have seen and watched, where it's really twofold. I get a chance to meet people that I've known for months, and in some cases over a year,
Right.
spend a little bit of time with them, and then get to go with them in their community to make someone feel loved and smile. So, you know, a lot of cases I don't know the who.
Mm-hmm.
It wildly varies. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if someone knows of someone, then we certainly bring them into our world and we go make them smile. If they don't, we randomly put ourselves in places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's Santa Monica Pier, you know, in the park, and
Mm-hmm.
found a maintenance worker. You know,
Right.
whether it was Venice Beach. You know, again, the stories are endless. You know, up in Bakersfield to a mid 40-year-old guy with special needs, or to now a single mother because of a mom who had been married for 20 years and lost her husband in the mid 40s. You
Right.
know, so people are in different places in their life and just really trying to, in the moment, regardless of the circumstances and where people are, to understand life is good and amazing. It's really how we look at things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, good and amazing. I'm going to give some shout outs, Maria Russo and Gracie Ruth and Natalie. Hey, welcome aboard. And actually, Maria's north and Gracie's south of me. I'm not sure where Natalie is. I should know, but apologies, Natalie. Anyway, so yeah, good. But yeah, that whole microcosm of life. And before we jumped on here live, we were talking about isn't it amazing how sometimes if you kind of stand back from the moment and don't judge anyone before you actually watch what they do, it's like we were talking about Bill, right? Obviously a scholaristic guy in his past, and he was reading meaningful books on the beach, and you just use your intuition, right? You walked around and the juju and the energy felt right, and you thought, you know what, I'm just going to go chat with Bill. And I am so glad that I had the opportunity just to help you do that moment, because it was a very special moment, and it gave me goosebumps actually when I heard you interview him, and then when he just said, you know, what he thought was his special characteristics, you know, and everybody has special characteristics and special moments, and they're often overlooked with the busyness of, like you told me earlier, that's the price of life, Bruce, right? You know, the busyness of life sometimes, right?
It very much is so. And, you know, I love when people share the story about someone we're going to do, but there's also something very unique when I choose to walk Venice Beach for 20-25 minutes and I've
Right.
looked at 20-30 random people. And I often say, however you think and feel, whether it's the universe or God, you know, I just kind of feel it in the moment. And again, as we talked about off camera before we went live,
Sure.
you know, watching Bill, a homeless man, lay in the sand, but watching him for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt compelled seeing this homeless man read that it spoke to me. And a lot of times when I do it too, and you brought up something that is special to me, is understanding self-love.
Right.
In that, you know, when I ask these strangers to tell me something amazing about themselves in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
it is just so very real that people get to focus on who they are and
Mm-hmm.
that we are amazingly special. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you know, when you're laying in the sand on Venice Beach, your mind takes you to places in which life's hard, life's awful, you
Sure.
know, but yet here's this amazing, articulate, intellectual man,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that, and I said to you earlier, you know, our perception is our reality.
Right.
So society has a tendency to look at people like that differently, but then all of a sudden, because it spoke to me, we bring
Mm-hmm.
him into our world. And there is something truly amazing about Bill, you know. And when we closed out and gave him a gift of kindness, you know, most people would think when you're homeless, it's booze, drugs, whatever the case may be. And I'm blown away. And the guy goes, "Can I go get the New York Times and a cup of coffee?"
Yeah, I know that was like a classic, and actually, that reminds me of an early career story of mine. And I used to actually help flip or turn business units around, and people used to say to me, Bruce, how the heck do you like go right after where the problem is. And what I didn't always reveal to them is I used to go talk with everybody, but more importantly, I used to go listen to the people that took the trash out. I used to go listen to the people that were cleaning the bathrooms. I used to go listen to the people that would be loading the last truck of the day, you know, when everyone else had gone home. And it's amazing because they had a perspective around, and I used to say to them, so, you know, what's up with the company? And they would like, you're kidding, right? And I'd say, no, I really want you to tell me. I really want to know. And sometimes they'd say, well, Bruce, there's blankety blankety blank. What's up with this company? And I'd say, well, you know, and it was amazing because that was my secret weapon. Every single turnaround I did, I didn't go to the manager. Yeah, I listened to the managers, the supervisors. I listened to the people with the more noticeable jobs. But if you go talk to the people that are kind of, you know, in stealth, in the non-noticeable jobs, the jobs that people don't want to even recognize are there, as important as, you know, the person leading the sales or business development effort, they're still important. And they have an unbelievable perspective about what's up. And they'll tell you in no uncertain, they'll just say, hey, and I used to make notes. I used to make frantic notes. Those were before the days of a smartphone. I wish I had a smartphone because I would have videoed them and we would have got, you know, the whole energy thing going as well. But yeah, people used to say to me, man, you're amazing. You can get to the root of what's up here in 30 days. And it was, I didn't tell them my secret. You know, I was being paid high to not share all of that. But But, you know, it's, and that's another thing, see, like, you know, the whole thing about, well, I didn't want to tell them my secret. That was a conditioning, right? And we have this conditioning sometimes. And now I don't care, you know, if I find something that is a great way to clean up a process, because that's what I help people do, then I want to share that. I want to give all my knowledge away, you know, have it all. I mean, I want to be compensated for it, but take all my knowledge and go do something great with it.
Sure.
So
there is something, you know, and I don't know how many I've done now, probably easily over a couple of hundred or more. And, you know, some of the random ones I've done at times, you know, even here in Louisville, to where I've stopped with garbage trucks or, you know, it's in the high 80s and guys are out mowing grass, you know, people, you know, maintenance workers and things. Sometimes, like you said, I think some of those jobs are thankless. You know, people are out working hard. I call it grinding to make a living, sometimes working multiple jobs. And there's not enough people in their life showing them some love and appreciation to making them feel good about what they do. So I'll never diminish any of them that I've done because, you know, I like to think in some form or fashion, all of them have meaning. But there are some that are probably a little bit more special to me, you know, on my journey that I've done. So, but I totally get what you're saying.
Well, the other thing is, and again, my other secret weapon is I used to go talk to the complainers, you know, the people that everyone say, oh, you know, you want to talk to Michael over there. He's always bitching and moaning and, you know, he's negative.
Yeah, we all have those.
Right. But you know what, if you actually go get past that in them, and I've never forgotten, I had this guy, it was in a pretty tough union environment. So he was the steward. He'd been there for a long time. And I said, hey, you know, who's the representative of the unit here? And they said, oh, you don't want to go talk to him. He'll like bend your ear and like, you know, he'll demolish you in about 20 minutes. And I said, no, I want to go talk to him. So anyway, what was real interesting. So, you know, he was predictable and he unloaded like verbal diarrhea, everything that was negative about, you know, everything
he just
going
kept
on.
Throwing up on you.
He kept throwing up on me. And I walked away. But what I did is every morning I would go see him. I would go say, hey, how you doing? And his name was Tom. And I've never forgotten, he was at one of those moments where he wasn't quite sure if he could trust me. And I just said to him, I said, hey, what do you do? I said to him, basically, I said, what do you do when you're not bitching and moaning at me outside of work? And he said, number one, you're the first person to ask me that. And number two, actually, I coached little league. And I said, no way. And he said, yeah. He said, I've been
Right?
doing that in the church for the last 8 to 10 years. And I said, no way, man. I said, why do you do it? And he said, oh, I just love to help the kids. And so as soon as I realized that and nobody had ever asked him, nobody had ever validated that he just wasn't, this complaining, guy that was full of negativity. And what was really interesting is he was doing the flip side for the kids because he couldn't do that for the grown-ups in work. So, so it was like a diorama of, he was like all over the place.
Yeah.
But it was also amazing because 3 or 4 months later, I wanted him on one of my improvement teams. And they said, you're nuts, Bruce. You're just like, absolutely. I said, no, I think he's going to be good. And he was amazing. And he got to the root cause of a bunch of things. And I've never forgotten, on the day we presented to management, he showed up in a jacket and a button-down shirt. And everyone said, who is that guy? Never forgotten. Because he got validated. He got given a voice that was normal instead of the voice that he was labeled with,
Yeah.
But yeah, he came up with some unbelievable opportunities for improvement. And you know what was really intriguing? Like 90% of his bitching, it was true. He was like he was right on the money. He nailed it, right? And
I mean, sometimes bitching leads to creative ideas and good change, so,
Well, he wasn't very politically correct. And, bitching probably isn't allowed to be talked about in that way anymore. But if he could put it into politically correct words, he was right on the money. He nailed pretty much 90% of what was up with his whole unit. And
he might have been like a functional a-hole a little bit, when you're bitching him. I mean, you can upset the apple cart, but if it's for the greater good, I mean.
Yeah. The key thing though was harnessing his power, right? When if I just taken him at, face value and given up on him. And that was the other thing. He couldn't believe that I kept going back every day and like just saying hi to him. I didn't ask him anything. I just said hi. And after all, he let his barrier down, and that's how I got underneath.
Right.
And what was really amazing is he was really a good leader. And that was why he did the union shop steward thing. He wanted to lead people without a voice. He just didn't know how to eloquently put his voice into practice. And that's what we showed him. We showed him a different way to do that. So it was staggering. It was unbelievable.
Right.
So, yeah. Cool. So what are your common themes that you see? I'm sure you've seen a lot of those types of things on your travels too.
Common things or
themes or things, or places, or
I mean, I think in a lot of cases, one of the common themes I have is getting the ability to, for people to understand of how they perceive life through challenges. And as I look back through, where I came from with all the challenges that I went through, I wish I would have had that attitude.
Right.
So getting, people to kind of build and create a mindset around understanding regardless of the circumstances. And again, it is an amazing diverse cross section. And I think too, when you do random unexpected acts of kindness, the impression you leave with people in that moment, look, I'm living proof. I see and feel it, truly hourly and daily, from the work I do, whether it's in the moment or when I share it and how it resonates with the community and audience. I look at social media differently. Some people look at it as a vehicle of, oh my God, it can be so negative, and I think a lot of it is what you put into it. So I think for me that I'm closely getting back to is, doing this for, a long period of time before COVID, and then during COVID, and now that we're close to being on the other side, the thing that I've really missed probably the most in my work is being in the space, being in people's personal space.
Yeah.
And that's within, when I say it's not even 2 feet, because if you go back and look at the work I did before COVID, more often than not, I had my arm around people.
Yep.
I was within 6 inches of people. So then, when you're trying to do that safely, and most of the work that I've done during COVID has been outside. It hasn't been a resistance to wearing a mask. I've wanted to just show my smile and get people to show their smiles. So I just said, I'm going to do it outside. I'm going to try to do it 6, 8, 10 feet away from people so we can see the reaction of people. But now that vaccines and herd immunity and all the good stuff, I think that we're close. It's better in some spots than others. But, the ability of being able to do what I do on people in their space. Because again, it really is all about emotion. And I tell people it's about how I make people feel.
Right. Yeah.
And that a lot of times requires when people do get emotional and cry, being able to safely hug them without feeling like, oh my God, here, come in, I'll hug you and turn my head. So, again, I think that constant theme, regardless if I'm here, I'm in California, I'm in Florida, it's what people see and feel, whether they're in the moment with me, where I'm physically with them, or it's the thousands of people that watch it on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever social media platform they're viewing it from. It's truly, Bruce, I really like to look at it in simple forms, that I'm really trying to touch the life in the moment of 2 people. It's the person I'm with in the moment, and it's one person. We get caught up sometimes in the analytics going, oh my God, why did only 10,000 people watch this? We're the one 2 days ago, it was 25,000. But ultimately it comes down, if we make, an impact in the life of one human being, that multiplies, with the number of people and the lives that human being touched. And I often go back to that singular moment for me. Yes, it was the foundation of a nonverbal daughter that left the impression of a smile because she couldn't say I love you to her father, but it was an encounter at a drive-through with a complete stranger. So if a complete stranger can make me feel good in the moment, and I act upon that by putting the two together and understanding the importance, and again, the power of a smile, it's just that singular person. And I look at it now and it blows me away. I've impacted the lives of thousands of people all over the world by what little I do, so.
Well, I'm going to say hi, LinkedIn user. Not sure who you are. There might be more than one. So Maria's chit-chatting with, and Kenneth Dunner, Flavor the Savers in the house. So Mr.
Mr. Dunner's down in Houston, Texas, man. And we're planning a trip in the next month or so to get down to Houston. So I can't wait to hug it out with him.
Oh, cool. I was going to ask you if you got any great states coming up. And I used to live in the Dallas metro area for almost 10 years. So, and I recently went back there for the IndyCar racing and did a little, a little small LinkedIn local in person. Got to meet some people I'd not seen for a long time.
That is so cool, dude.
Yeah, a couple of new people. But I agree with you. It's getting in that energy of one with one, right? So yeah, that's the piece. And I don't know about you. I mean, I love the digital tools that we've been afforded. And I think COVID's actually helped. I would never have done this without COVID before. But I don't know about you, but I find it really hard. I can kind of feel the energy through the screen, but not like in person. I am like being away from people and now slowly getting back integrated to people. My senses are like on fire now. They're like, I mean, I pick up on everything. Like, it's funny. I went to a little store, and actually the gas station little bit before our live, and it's like I picked up on everything. Like you can hear the stuff, and somebody was having trouble with the push in pump thing, and I just said, "Hey, do you want a hand?" And they were like shocked. It's like that, it's like you're asking if I want help, man. And I have my mask on, but I'm still smiling with my eyes. So and that's the other thing. Don't forget that even if you have your mask on for safety, still smile, because people can see it in your eyes. It's amazing how your eyes show a lot more than people realize. So you're heading to Texas.
They can, and so yeah, I have a pretty good idea. We're working through some dates, so I want to be careful. We're targeting the end of June. It could get pushed into early July. I'm going to know probably in the next week. But yeah, I mean, it's no different than Florida and California. I mean, it's Dallas, it's San Antonio, it's Austin, it's Houston, it's Corpus. So we're going to kind of cover most of the state over about a 9-10 day period. And like you said, what I want to do too, that I really didn't do in some of the other states and cities, and I think a lot of it has to do with starting to feel like we're on the other side of COVID, is doing some LinkedIn locals. So if I'm in Dallas for a couple of days doing some smile events, is hey, we put something together to where we can invite a large group of people out in Dallas, Houston, wherever we are, to get everybody a chance to meet and greet and hug it out and have some fun.
Yeah, you bet. Well, if you, I've got a couple of people there that I know are prior LinkedIn local leaders, and
nice.
Some
I would
are,
love to work for you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can at least throw some names out there, and if they want to go for it. And actually, one of them, Jake, was one of the first 100 beta testers, like Brian Schulman, when This Is LinkedIn video came about, right? He was one of the 100 along with Mr. Brian. And
I was very fortunate to meet Mr. Brian in Southern California. Brian and I connected and met and shared a few hours together. So
well, Brian is the reason that I'm actually on LinkedIn video, because he surprised me. We were at a LinkedIn local in Los Angeles, and he was streaming it live. He was there to support Diana Nguyen when she came over from the other land to be the guest speaker there. And I was real nervous. I hadn't networked for a while, and I literally almost bumped into Brian, and I had my badge on, and Brian turned around and said, "Hey, Bruce, say something on This Is LinkedIn video." And I was like, and I didn't know what to say. So Brian said, "Hey man, you got to get on video." And I said, "I have no clue how to do that." And he said, "I'll help you."
And you do. I just tell people, people who are, nervous and timid, about doing it. I just tell people to do you, to just be yourself, because that's truly when you don't have any comfort zones and you choose to be you, is when, the beauty of having conversations just like this, really come out. So yeah,
it's really tough. Back to that conditioning, I've been through a lot of corporate preconditioning and corporate conditioning that I live in, and being you is still not something that's normal. It's you in a modified format, right? And so the whole notion about, hey, you just gotta be you is a stretch, and it was for me, and it still is for me, and actually that's why I love doing LinkedIn.
That's that whole perception reality thing, is being able to climb out of that space, because we feel like we have to act a certain way because we work in corporate America, rather than we're all human beings with these beautiful personalities, and again, it goes back to why I asked these strangers, what makes you amazing? So it's just finding that and allowing that amazing, ability that we have to shine, to share with so many others.
Yeah. So on that's a great cue before I let you plug your next upcoming stuff. What makes you amazing, Michael?
You know what? I think the ability to make people feel loved. That I often say that I have been blessed with being able to make strangers feel special.
Okay. Have you always had that
Um,
ability, or have you worked it? But how did that come about? Why do you think it came to you?
I think it's a gift. And again, I think we all have these beautiful gifts. And I think, look, I think it was nurtured in how I was raised
Hmm.
by the people in my life, and in being a high extrovert. Um, Also going back in what I shared a minute ago, not having a comfort zone, because I don't worry about what other people in the moment think about me. We're always again consumed with how is someone going to perceive me. But
Hmm.
again, in doing this, and I tell people too, only a very small part of what I do is video.
Right.
It's just
Absolutely.
how I act and go about, and the simplicity of the very small things that I do day in and day out when I navigate, my world that's not video, to make people feel good. It's again
Hmm.
going back to how we make people feel.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
what I say, it's not what I do, it's how I leave people feeling. That's what makes me amazing, is I just choose to act on it.
Right. Yeah.
And
They
we're all
say.
going about our lives and doing these small things, but I don't worry about what other people think about me, because I love who I am. And I tell people that self-love is so important. It doesn't make me any better than you. We all have these very unique, special gifts that make all of us amazing. I just understand that it allows me, because I don't worry about others, just to do me.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it took me a long time. In fact, it's only this year that I realized I'm actually a very special ambivert. So I'm actually behaviorally introverted, which people say there's no way you're behaviorally introverted, which I am. I am a highly trained extrovert with lots of painful moments around not worrying too much about yourself, even though I do worry about myself. So that's the ambivert. So it's a new term.
Right?
Some people know what it is, some people don't. And it was kind of a discovery. I saw it by accident. I saw a guy talking about it who said some very meaningful things. It's like, you know what? That's my issue. I'm neither introvert or extrovert. I'm somewhere in between, and they have a name for it now. So I'm ambivert. So I'm a special ambivert, and I'm really good at strategically joining the dots between things. That's my unique gift. I can see a
Yeah.
thing over there and a thing over there and see that they're somehow related. So it's I don't know how my brain does it, but it doesn't like being scrambled up. It hates being discombobulated. So that's why like you, I'm about the simpler, faster, better. You didn't say it, but I try and make everything simpler and faster and better for
And better. Yeah.
everybody around me. And the better that's the tough one, because what's better for one person may not be better for the other
Sure.
person. And, and so that's where that social
Very well said.
skilling, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right, man. So
We're all unique.
we are beautifully unique. All right. So we're kind of coming towards the end. I know it's late for you. You've been on a long day already. So Texas is the next big road trip. Is that right?
It is. So the plan is Texas, and then if I let the cat out of the bag, it will be going up northeast, venturing up to like Philly,
Okay.
New York City, up in that corridor, and both of those will be happening this summer.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
Do it before the winter. I used to live in Erie, Pennsylvania, and from October to March, it was a lot of snow. So,
why do you think I went to Florida and California in like February and March, when it was
right.
still like 38 degrees here in Louisville? So yeah, I got out, man.
Because you're smart,
That's exactly right.
Yeah, smart ass, right?
It's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go at least somewhere where the sun is always shining and warm, man. And I think in both cases, in Florida and California, in the 20 some odd days, I think the sun was out literally every day.
Oh yeah,
And I tell
yeah.
people that's sometimes what's hard here in the Midwest, is we can easily go, in Erie, a week or more
Oh,
with never seeing the sun in the winter.
Terrible. And getting
Just
dumped
gray
on with
day after
snow. Oh
day
yeah.
after day after day, you know. So.
All right. So a lot of people may not know this. I do, because I'm being a proud mentor and sponsor before. So if you want to mentor or sponsor Michael's efforts, then what's the best way for them to reach out to do that, Michael?
You know, any and all of the above. Go to my website. I tell people that, and people do when I tell them to do it. You know, my cell phone number is on my LinkedIn profile, and people do call and text me, and they find it fascinating that I respond almost immediately. So,
Yeah,
you know, a
you're
lot of
amazing.
what we do is just off the generosity and love of others.
Right.
You know, paying it forward in the work that we do. So if people want to get involved, and that's part of the path that I'm trying to carve out right now is to get on bigger stages. You know, now that again we're on the other side of COVID, where getting opportunities to speak in front of groups of people, you know, companies that might align with what we're doing, that might want to write a check that has that extra zero, you know, in it, and sponsor what we do, because we'll bring them into our world, because we have tens of thousands of people that watch what we do. So, you know, look, they get full access to me. I just tell people, I'm a dude. DM me on LinkedIn, email me, text me, call me. We'll find a way.
So all your contact info is up to date, and they can use any
It is,
mode,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. Well,
Go right to my LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. And let's give a little shout out to Maggie Moo, because she's traveling as well, right?
She is right now. She's with my my ex-in-laws in Amish country. So she's up in Southern Ohio in Amish country, spending about 4 days visiting that part of the world. So yeah.
So hopefully she'll get a little ride in a buggy, right? And those
she'll get exposed to all of that, whether it's the butter or you know, all the furniture, all the good things that those people bring to us. So yeah, she's in Amish country.
Talk about a simplistic way of life, that's for sure, right?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes there is something beautiful about simplicity. So yeah.
You can't. I'm sold. Of course. All right, Michael, thanks. If you want to hang on a minute, I'll let you know how you're going to get
everything. And you know what? I want to thank you, because you know, people, you know, beautiful people like yourself who bring me into their world with their community and audience. Thank you for creating this space to do it tonight. So thanks, Bruce.
All right, man. You're welcome. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for the comments, engagement. Have fun. And remember, it's how you make people feel, not what people say. Good night.